Hello guys, how are you doing and welcome back to the channel. I have a Help with Harrz episode today where I review subscribers' gameplays to make them better Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Ranked play players. Today we are reviewing a Diamond player, and the focus of today is where this player can make the improvements to get to that Crimson level gamer. That doesn't mean it's completely useless for those of you who are below Diamond or even above Diamond, because there will probably still be stuff that this player does that they could improve upon, and you might follow those sort of similar traits as well and could learn to improve upon those same sort of things. It's also a Vault Hardpoint gameplay, so if you feel like you struggle at Vault Hardpoint in particular, and obviously this video is going to be beneficial to you. We're obviously going to review the form that this player submits, then we're going to look at the gameplay in its entirety, breaking down things as we notice them, and then we're going to give them a few hints towards the end of what they can fully focus on, just to make them, just to give them really a couple of things they can focus on to get to that next level. And before we get into that, I just wanted to thank a couple of people, new members of the channel. You've got Zena, who is the player who submitted this form. You've got Fozy as well, who are my two new channel members since I did my last shout out bit. But I also want to shout out the players who've been around for a while. I've got 5 members of the channel who have been around for over 6 months, and they've got a lovely little blue badge there. So yeah, appreciate you guys for the support for 7 months. It has been now. Yeah, shout out you guys. So let's take a look at form. Let's see what we have here. This player is a new gen console player. They play 35 hours a week, so a fairly considerable amount of time. Their current rank is Diamond 3 at the time of submitting this gameplay. Highest rank last year was Diamond 1. Good FOV, good sensitivity, and they play on a controller. They are a channel member. Solid setup. What's one thing you would like me to focus on? Spawns and winning gunfights and rotations, being useful to my team knowing spawns. Okay, so spawns seems to be the focus of what we're going to focus on here. Okay, so and that's probably what makes up a lot of the difference between Diamond and Crim players. So obviously a lot of the advice I give in today's video is going to be Vault specific, but if you want to learn, if you are this player, and there's going to be other things we point out obviously in the gameplay, but if you are Zena, feel free to pull up my Vault spawn guide, or have it on your phone or something. You can find the link down below if you want to, and then as I go through things in today's video, you can look at the guide and be like, okay, that's what he's referring to, and then it's going to make it a lot better, and then hopefully that will help you read the guide a little bit better generally anyway. So shall we kick it off with the gameplay? So this is a good gameplay actually, 41 and 22 with nearly a 2 KD stat line with good amount of hill time, good amount of objective score, is obviously a good game, but I assume because they're not quite in Crim yet, that they're still playing at this sort of level. So we'll see what we notice in the gameplay. There's still things that they're probably going to be able to improve upon. Yeah, let's see what we've got. Just spawn on the good side of P1, sorry, because it makes you really easy to rotate to P1. Okay, I don't mind this cut off here. The only thing you've got to notice here is that you've got nobody blocking. There's no one willing to sit on time at this point. And it's going to cause a lot of chaos. You've not got one person dedicated to making sure the enemies don't spawn behind you. And that's probably what you should be doing to read the spawns. Spawns are never going to be easy to read if you're not actively controlling them. If you're there controlling the spawn, you can tell where they're going to be. But at this point, you have no control. Like, both you and your teammate that were left alive were relatively middle of the map. The 2 enemies you know about are relatively middle of the map. So you have no idea where your teammates are going to be spawning, where your enemies are going to be coming from, because you've got no one person on your team dedicating themselves to blocking or pushing out a spawn a little bit. So you really need to have someone, even if it's you, pulled back a little bit further. Now, the cut-off, the runoff initially was obviously quite narrow. You had 3 people, I think, run up towards Catwalk. You had 1 person hit the time, and then nobody really wanted to get on the hill. Everyone seemed to be chasing the kills. If you want to guarantee spawns, it's up to you, not the rest of the team. If you want to own that job yourself, if you want to make sure it happens, you should have been the player that pulls back a little bit, sits back catwalk stairs, and when your team dies, you can make sure the enemies aren't around this backside area. Your team will then spawn in with you, and it makes for a nice, easy, readable map when you are literally there controlling those spawns. So that's what we're going to be probably looking at in a little bit today, if that's what you want to focus on. Yeah, we've automatically, although we spawned at the good side of the hill, we've instantly flipped and made them spawn at the better side, essentially, as a team. You have a nade, which you can use to deter them from pushing this objective. There's no trophies at this point, so because it's so early in the game, so you don't have to worry about that. A nade over the chest, but then you've got to then assume that the enemies, because your team is spawned in this corner, the enemies spawn in the other corner. If I just break this down on an actual mini map here, your teammate has just spawned here, and let's just put P1 active, which means the enemies are likely to be coming from this direction. So you should right now allow your teammates to push up to the hill, which they're going to be able to do quite simply, I think. You should then play the cuts off to the enemy spawn. You should, from catwalk, go down cat and look this way, and essentially stop the enemy from cutting across this mid-map area, so they're pretty much stuck in their spawn. Once you get them kills, you can then push out to the spawn and then own the spawn area, spawning the enemies all the way out the other side. And that's probably what you should have done in this area. But let's see how we play. Yeah, we put emphasis, we read the spawn flip. And we're just stuck in the middle. You've got no cover in that situation. You're there for a while, and you've not committed to anything. You need to be thinking a little bit more actively. Your teammate spawned out. As soon as your teammate spawned over here, you should be like, shit, let me get back. Let me try and pick up this flank. And that's really what should have happened. That's fine. That's why you've submitted the form. I'm not, if it feels like it's coming across too harsh, I apologize, but I'm trying to assist. I'm trying to help. Okay, so you've still got nobody. So all these kills you're getting are great, and your team are getting a great, but you've got nobody blocking the other side spawn. So all you've got is you're here, teammates probably here. The enemies are probably going to still spawn over this side because of the weight you've got. If you had a teammate here, I'd say the enemy is probably going to spawn here because it's the safest spawn for them. But because you've got no one here, and your two positions are sort of in this sort of area, the enemies are going to be spawning here, and I imagine your teammates are going to be spawning behind you just here. But let's see how it plays. Good kill. Hold a pre-aim. Okay, interesting. We were playing out a sub for P2, which is, I'd have said do the other way around, maybe. Good help with the team. Good kill. Really, really nice kill. Your teammates are now spawning back. You've won the spawns. Really good. We're trying to ping a lot. I'm seeing a lot of pings, and live pings aren't in ranked play anymore. So if you can stop that, if you're putting a lot of your energy into trying to live ping people, obviously it doesn't work in ranked play anymore. And if you're putting a lot of energy into doing that rather than actually thinking about how to play the game better, don't do that. It's not anywhere near as beneficial as it used to be. That guy got absolutely turned on. Yeah, there are a lot of live pings, which we don't need. Teammate just spawned there. There's no need to check that side. But I'm hoping you can understand what the problem with this play is. At the moment, you're in a position where you've got P2's active. If I just rewind this like a few seconds, like you've got what you're doing here doesn't offer much for the team. You know, you're not really doing much. So the enemies are going to be coming from, make this a little bit brighter. The enemies are going to be coming from here or middle. Like they're the two main spawns. And because assuming you don't know the spawns, which is absolutely fine. If you don't know the spawns, you don't know the spawns. You know they're not spawning in the back because your teammates just spawned there. You need to make sure that you're cutting off the map. What's happening with your position in here? It's very, very, very defensive. You're allowing the enemies to run to the hill before you can even see them. The only way you're seeing an engagement right now is if they push around this right-hand side here. But by that point, it's too late. They've already got map control of this whole area. You need to try and stop them from getting this map control in the first place. Whether that's pushing up the cat and looking at the cross across there, whether it's going into the pool and using the pool heady, whether it's going all the way through to cat into nest and cutting them off like so. But you need to try and make sure that you're not waiting for them to come to you. Your teammates on the objective, great. You've got a teammate blocking the spawn, great. That tells you can push out. That your teammate back here stops the enemies from spawning in. Okay, your teammate is securing that spawn. You can use that opportunity to push through a little bit, be a little bit aggressive. You've got a sub, so you're not in the best position right now. The only reason you're useful right now is if the enemies are already on the hill or they come around the right, which is too late. You lose that gunfight, you spawn all the way back out here, they have hill control. Whereas if you push through, let's say you did push through cat like this, You lose that gunfight. Oh, shit, you lost that gunfight. The enemies are still only here, and they've still got to get to the hill by the time you spawned in and get to the hill as well. So take the gunfights to them, especially with a sub. You can't be playing this defensively behind the hill with a sub. And I think, while this works in this lobby, and it doesn't seem to be hindering you too badly, when you get to those crim lobbies, and what you want to do, obviously, is get to those crim lobbies. Eventually, you're going to want to just make sure that you're being a little bit more aggressive, because you're just going to get caught. Okay, so P3. This is obviously logic on Vault, but this should be your thinking on any hill on any map. What lines of sight are useful for P3 with a sub? Bear in mind you've got a sub in your hand. Gunfights from where you are that long, maybe longer. Sometimes, sometimes they're from here to here, but generally speaking, the gunfights at a minimum are, I don't know, one pillar to one pillar. That's a long way. That's a long way with a sub. And this area, this whole area where you're trying to obtain right now out here, is all long range. Where you're positioned right now is super long range. You've got a sub in your hands. Understand, for P3, where is a submachine gun useful? And you're going to be right. It's not this area. It's in here. P1, this middle area, this middle building is where you're useful for P3. You can allow your teammates with the ARs to get on the hill, like push up to the hill. They can overlook the hill completely. You can roam in P1 and cut off the entire team, the entire enemy team, from pushing in mid. If you're in middle and your team are coming from the enemy team are coming from this side because you've got these spawns, you can stop them from hitting front, from hitting the middle side. You can force your teams to say, okay, they're only coming from front. I've got middle, and you've got then 3 players on your team just watching the front side because you're a useful sub in this middle zone. If the enemy end up breaking through the front of the hill and they get on the hill time, you've then got a real nice cut in here within the sub machine gun range to do something on the objective. Okay, that's this gunfight. Trying to get this position with a sub is going to be really, really difficult. Look at the line of sight you've got. You are closing that, and I like the fact that you're using cover to close that gap down. It's nice. You'd have been far more successful going through middle. Okay, your team's trying to push through. Yeah. So. Yeah, so what happened here? You could just see, if we rewind this to when you died. You've just seen, you've got a teammate pushing into art, and you've spawned in, and no one else on your team is here. The people that are dying are not going to be able to spawn right at the back. So you've got a teammate here, you've got another teammate maybe middle, you've got another teammate sort of on time, I think, give or take, somewhere around that area, maybe a little bit further right here. You've just spawned in here. Now the 3 spawns, I'm going to quickly draw out for you. Pretty much here, here, and here. Okay, which one do we think are the enemy going to spawn? I'm trying to get that about right. Okay, these are the 3 main spawn areas. Obviously, there's details within these, but teammates are here, not going to be there. You've just spawned in here, not going to be there. They're going to be spawning here. And when they spawn here, they're either going to run through middle, or they're going to hit the right side of the time. Now, because you didn't read that spawn, this one here, you've run forward from this spawn, and then they've run from the spawn and they've killed you in the back. And that's the importance of reading that spawn. Don't forget there's a spawn delay. So those 2 probably just come alive, that first one. But they're all going to be spawning behind you. You can see how much map control your team have. This backhand side, they're always going to spawn behind you. And reading that a little bit earlier would have done you a massive favor. Nice, I don't mind pushing this. Your teammates have got kills and you can't see any enemies, so I don't mind this push now with the sub. Again, you leave yourself open to a lot of lines of sights that you can't win gunfights at. Okay, 15 seconds. Unfortunately, the rest of your team have died. Pulled out an AR, managed to win the gunfight. That's better. Okay. So, let me just get rid of all these. Let me just 2 seconds. So P3 is active. The main spawns on P4, as you'll see in my guide, are pretty much back here, middle, and pool. They're like the 3 main spawn areas. Okay, there's obviously other ones. They're the 3 main spawn areas. What spawns do you want for this hill? Your answer should be these ones. These are the spawns you want for the hill, which makes sense because they're really, really close to P4. Now, how do you make sure the enemy don't have those spawns? You block them. Now, the only way you can block them is by being in the vicinity of that spawn. You can be the backside of P4, but you need to get yourself into this area, allow your teammates to get kills. The enemies will then spawn out. And that should be your priority. You could have had a really nice route here. Right? Managed to get through. You could have had a really, really nice route around the back of the spawn, which would have enabled you to stop the enemies from spawning in. The fact that you've pulled back, you're trying to chase this kill. This guy is irrelevant. This player doesn't see how far away because I can't see on your compass, but this player is here. How relevant are they right now? This hill's just popped. Your teammates are just dead. How relevant is this player right now? Not at all. You've got a player who's on the objective. You've probably got another couple of players. Maybe there's one on top of them, and then maybe there's one middle, give or take, something like that. This player is not your priority. Your priority should be getting into the back spawn and stopping them from spawning in, blocking this back spawn, allowing your teammates to push from the front. If your teammates don't win the gunfights, that's fine. You push from the back. They don't know you're there at that point. Get the kills. They then spawn out because of where you've just positioned yourself. And life's good, okay? The fact that you've gone to play for this kill, it's a greedy chase because you've not played for the team here. Leave that guy. Screw the trade. You've got to art, get through art, get to the back spawn, and be influential on the hill you're playing. If this was P3, I'd say, yeah, fair enough, go for it. But you're not playing on P3 anymore. This is P4. Get the spawns. You've got so much map control, this right-hand side here. So easy for you to just get in the back, and you gave up that map control. You pushed a little bit, and then you got shot doing so. Risky play, and it hasn't paid off. I know we're 3 minutes into this gameplay. I'm not going to break it down as much going forward. This is just one set of rotation, which I'm going to highlight. And I do, obviously, in the first rotation of a hardpoint, I always do a little bit more detail into it because it's the first time seeing each hill in the video. It will be quicker, I promise. Okay, that was bold. If you really want to make that step up to Crim, you really need to make sure that you're doing something other than that. You do not have a submachine gun. Even at that point, I'd say it's very risky. On this game, you can shoot the doors, you can shoot through the doors, shoot the door open, throw a stun nade in, get the initial damage, and then push. You can wallbang this, you can wallbang the door, you can wallbang the side panels. This is what makes the difference between a Diamond and Crim player. You need to be making sure that you're doing those things instead of running in. If you had probabilities in your head, what are the chances of you winning? You don't know how many's in here. There could be 2 players in here. Doing this is not sensible. You nearly got the kill. Great. But you could have been a lot better at pushing that objective. Again, stun and a nade. You have both, and we've yet to use them. Okay, we're pulled back. I like this. We're not sure where the enemies are spawning. See, a Crim player will know that they're spawning pool. So again, really try and familiarize yourself with these spawn points. Okay, look how long's left. 4 seconds. Do you want to die and give up map control for 4 seconds? Maybe 3 by the time you get there. No. What you should be doing in this position is P1 is about to be active, and this should be your focus. P1, oops, let me just drag you, sorry. P1 should be your main and only focus at this point. There's so little time left of the objective. The enemies are going to be spawned in the back of the hill, any that you kill, and you know they're in this area. Now, where do they need to get to? Within 3 seconds, 4 seconds, give or take, where do they need to get to? Well, they need to get to P1. How do they get to P1? They run through middle. They run up this right-hand side. They go around the left. What can you do from this position, from where you were, to be really bloody annoying? You can sit anywhere, really. You can sit on this Jeep. You can sit in this window, cutting off this entire map. You can sit up here, cutting off this entire line of sight, and you can see that side as well. Play for the cuts. At most, you'll win in 3 seconds here. You can be really annoying, cut them off these lines of sight, stop them from getting to P1 as easily. What we do here, I would put a lot of money on this going very wrongly. There we go. You've died. You've allowed them to pass through that big open space for completely free now. Yeah, let's see how it go. We should now be familiar with the spawns on this hill, on this map now. I've gone through them a couple of times. Again, you have a stun, you have a nade. Let's see them use. Maybe not if they're like that. I'm joking. You're probably not great with them because you don't use them as much as you should do. The more you use them, the better you'll become at throwing them. Okay, so spawn P2, which tells you that the enemies are spawning the other side of the map, but they've got a little bit of emphasis towards the right-hand side, the P3 area. Nice. Stay here. Right, this is a great position to be in, okay? You've just got a couple of kills. Your team have just got 2 kills. You've got plenty of map control of this area. Let me just make this teal. So you've got plenty of control of this area. The only way your teammates die is if they flood front, at which point you're in a real nice position to trade them. If they push cat, which you should be able to hold from here, or if they go all the way around. If they go all the way around, real shame. You just got to keep an eye on the kill feed to make sure we're accounting for one. But realistically, most of them are just going to hit through the front or catwalk. You can be a real big help to your team by being here because your team will not have to worry about any enemies coming from catwalk because you're here. This is a strong position. Even if you sat here and didn't see anyone for the entire hill and just fed the kills for your team, absolutely fine. Giving your team on the hill a peace of mind that an enemy isn't going to pinch them from cat is massive. They can then focus front. Oh, that's a lot. They can then focus front, and then the other player can focus side door. You've got this whole cat side, and if you need to, if you hold this cat stairs in this position, you can come back and block the spawn if you feel like you need to. It takes you 2 seconds to do that. Catwalk heady, get a trophy down. It's a big, strong position to play. You do not need to push up. Because now, look, nobody on your team is pulled this side of the map, which means this spawn is now completely open for the enemy team to spawn in. You've pushed down this stairs with 8 seconds left, gifting the enemy the better spawn to this right-hand side. This is not the play. You won't catch a good crim player doing this. So yeah, now we've given them back spawns because we've just completely ignored the fact we wanted them that back control. Now, whilst you can defend the hill from this side, it is just a little bit more difficult to do so. Okay, we've got good spawns. That's fine. Enemies around the back, they're quite influential. But from here, you can cut off the entire map, like we said, from this side. You can see you've got even in this position we're in right now, you can see if any enemies come from catwalk to hill, come from the pool to hill. This is a really strong position. Don't give it up. What are we doing? Trust your teammates there. Now again, with Coops back in this corner, allowing the enemy so much map control. These are big gunfights. Nice. Better. See, with an AR in that position, you can be a lot more offensive than defensive, because of the line of sight you're able to cover from that point. Okay, push out, start to rotate to new. Again, this is a really tight angle to have as an AR. If you get challenged with a sub here, you're done for. Nice, you read the minimap well. We do not want these spawns. We seem to be doing this quite a lot here. P3 spawns, as I say, here, here, and here. P4's here. Ooh, P4 is here. Which spawns do you prefer? We all know the better spawns here. It's these spawns here. This side. The fact that you've just pushed out this side stops the enemies from spawning here or here. Means they have to spawn back there, no matter what. Where even if you've got teammates in art, because you've pushed out this side, they cannot spawn this back side at the time. And again, we're chasing that kill, and it's costed us quite a lot. It's costed us spawns. We could have pushed through. Yeah, not a good position to be in. And I get we finished 44 and 20 or whatever it was, but the intangible difficulties we've been done with and like mistakes we've made have made it so that it's harder for your team to perform better because you're just flipping spawns to the wrong side. Yeah. It might be worth you considering going through each hill and asking yourself what side do we want to be spawning? Take a look at the spawn guides and say, okay, which side do we want to be spawning at? My spawn guides they should tell you which side is the better, and play for them. That's the number one easy thing to do. But this is really nice gameplay. What we're seeing right now, this is a step up from what I've seen from the beginning. We're thinking about new. We're trying to rotate here, playing our life rather than ego challenge. Fine, you got damage out. Hopefully your teammate trades. It's unfortunate. Okay, the teammate's still spawning out, which tells you the enemies are still backside of time. You've got a teammate who's also backside of time, which means the enemies will be spawning pool. And the reason for that is because there's 3 spawns: middle, pool, backside. Your teammate's blocking the backside, you're blocking middle. They must be pool. And there they are. Nice. Good gunfight, but if you'd have read that spawn properly, you'd have not had to be so reactive to that gunfight. And why have we jumped on the hill with our teammate? What's the purpose of doing this? If it's not just to boost your own score, okay? For the team, this is not the play. You've got an AR. Why have you joined the hill? You're now defending from the hill, whereas you could have cut the entire map off. It's a similar thing to what I said before. If you're on the Jeep, you can see across the entire map. You can see pool. You can see a lot of the map from the Jeep, or you could even push out the statue and you can look across this entire map. You can look to Lion. You can see the enemies try to get to the hill before they even get to the hill. I don't like jumping on the objective when your teammate is already on it, especially on a hill like this where you've got so much map control around the building you're in, is just never a good move. So try and reduce that if you can. It's fine, allow your teammates to bump you off the hill. Good gunfight win. That one is what it is. I actually don't mind this gunfight right now. You backed away from the gunfight just before you died, which is really important. You're playing your life right here. Yeah, that's good gameplay. That's solid. That's a lot better than we've seen at the beginning. Really getting stuck into it. Nice, play your life. Don't mind that your teammate managed to get you trade. You might spawn out though because no one is blocking. Spawned out. So at that point, you really need to try and play your life. If we just rewind quickly. At this point, you are the player who is furthest back. You are waiting for 3 enemies to spawn in. You are the person right now stopping the enemies from spawning behind you right next to the new objective. You need to play your life here. And that, you dying, allows these to spawning behind you, which allows you to then spawn the other side of the map. All because you've died and not played your life. It's that simple. So if you are, I'm trying to think of a way you can think about this with like one rule. And I think the way you can think about it is if you are the person closest to the spawn you want and you're nearly dead, play your life. It's that, and enemies are dying as well. Play alive, because otherwise you're going to flip. And that's exactly what happens. Okay, we seem to be not sure where we're going, but that's fine. We seem to have decided. Okay, we're putting out good damage. Okay, let's see some aggression. Okay, your teammates are just spawned in. You can see that through the wall. Your teammates are just spawned in. The enemies are going to be middle or behind you. That's what we should know from that. Behind you. There's no point in you giving up the whole of the map control to assisted hill when your teammates have just spawned behind it. If teammates have just spawned here, you're here, you know the enemies are either here or here based on where you're positioned if you know the spawns. Why would you go run all the way back to get on the hill, allowing your team enemies to run all the way through again, rather than what you should have done is turned, faced here or faced here, allow your teammates to get the hill, you know, and that's how it should have been done. Allow the people who have just spawned in to bump the hill here. You can then play aggressor, you can control this entire map side, allowing your teammates a really easy entry into the hill. And there's two of them, there's one on the hill, should have been easy. Do not give up all this map control, especially if your teammates have just spawned in. Do not give up all this. I think it's different if the enemies have got these spawns because you want these spawns. They're good spawns to have for this hill. Do not give up all this map control to get to the hill when you've got two enemies who've just spawned in the good spawns who can just as easily get in that objective. You being pushed out and slaying a little bit more would have got you more kills. It allowed your team to get into the hill a lot easier. You'd have been in a far better situation than you're currently in now.
Hardpoint located.
It's actually not a bad thing you died, because look where you spawned. Your teammate, something worth noting though, is your teammate has just spawned in the back, which means the enemy have completely released that back spawn, which means they're rotating to new, they're pushing through middle, they're pushing through pool. It's something to bear in mind when you're pushing this new objective. Now, not as someone who seems to be playing with the AR a lot, I've not seen you once try and get the better spawns when the new hill pops, which is fine. If you're communicating and you're with your team and they are doing that, fine. But if I think if you're the first to spawn up, you should really try and get the good spawns. So it's just something. Obviously, knowing spawns is obviously a necessity to know which spawns you need. But it's just an observation. Okay, unfortunate nade. Okay, we've got good spawns. Your teammates have done a really good job at obtaining them. Okay, solid time.
Hardpoint active. Hardpoint is secure.
Okay, your teammates are spawned in the back, which tells you the enemies are going to be spawned in middle or pool. Or still coming off old. Oh, there we are. Yeah, we're in a sticky situation there where you don't seem like you know 100% where they're coming from. You're in an area where it's quite tight. You're in sort of this zone here, which is a sub-zone. If you're here stuck in a corner with an AR, you're probably going to lose gunfights just because there's no mobility with an AR compared to a sub. As I say, you're much better off getting to the Jeep, getting to the Lion. Even if you sit on this Lion heady and look across, like statue, so if you just sit on this Lion heady and look across, you're doing something. You sitting in a corner here is going to make you very easily tradable. You got the first kill. Kudos to that. But yeah, it could have been a lot easier if you'd have positioned yourself in a better position. I think what would be useful on Hardpoint is to look at my Hardpoint holds video where I give ideas of where good positions are and what spawns you want to hold. They're probably really useful for you, and I think that'll really elevate your gaming. I will link the Vault one because this is Vault. I'll link the Vault one down below so you can check that out. But if you're struggling with how to position and how to hold a hill, which I think is your issue at the moment, I don't know how your S&D and control are, obviously, but with Hardpoint, if Vault's anything to go by, that seems to be the issue we've got. It's just knowing what spawns you want, how to hold them, and how to defend the objective effectively. Okay, actually not bad. So let's cover a few things off. The good. Let's start with the good. You clearly, there's some gunfights that you won because you've just got good gun skill. Okay, and your movement's also pretty good. Okay, you've also got a good understanding of how much you need to be on the objective sometimes, like your willingness to just be able to hop on the objective and be really influential and just get that hill time, stop the enemies from getting close to it, are pretty good. Okay, so there's a couple of things. You've got the fundamentals of a good COD player. I think in pubs you would probably dominate because you've got, as I say, good movement, decent shots, and you're happy just to jump on the objective, which is good. All really good attributes to have. The one huge thing that is going to stop your gameplay from elevating to that next level, going from Diamond 3 to Crimson and being able to stay in Crimson and really compete in Crimson, is that spawn knowledge. And I know we're only looking at Hardpoint here, as I said, I don't know what your S&D and control are like, but you really need to get in your head what spawns you need for the new hill, what spawns are better, what your positioning means for the enemy team, and how to hold a hill effectively. There were so many objectives on this game, on this gameplay here, where you either just sat on the objective shooting out, or you sat behind the objective shooting out, and there wasn't like any sort of factor that you wanted to be past the objective, being really annoying for the enemy team. Which is, as I say, you're playing those higher lobbies in Crimson, that's simply what you're going to be coming across. So yeah, familiarize yourself with the spawns a little bit more. I will link my Vault Hardpoint guide. It's not a spawn guide, it's a hold and setup guide, which touches on spawns a little bit, and it's probably plenty enough for you to get on with. But I would fully recommend, if Hardpoint seems to be one you struggle with a little bit and you feel like you definitely do better, and from seeing this, I think you're setting up a lot better on these hills, definitely check out my how to improve the Hardpoint, the secret to winning Hardpoints, those sort of videos that are on the channel. And as I say, I'll leave a Vault one down for you down in the description below. Yeah, and that will really sort your Hardpoint game out. That will make you stand out quite considerably. And then the next big thing I want you to try and focus on is using your stuns and nades and thinking about yourself. A situation like that we've just seen there, where you just bashed the door open with an AR in the hand and you've just died. You're not setting yourself up to win a gunfight there. You're just, it's almost like you're just going in as blind bait, ready to die, and hoping your teammates get the kills behind you. Which, great to be bait, but that's not the way to do it at all. Yeah, know how to break a hill, use your stuns, use your nades. Think about the best way to do it before you do it. Watch gameplays, and the best way, it's easier saying that, it's easier said than done there, but watch gameplays of people who are better than you. I don't necessarily mean pros, because they're also playing against pros, but watch gameplay of people who are better than you and what they do to break kills, and how you mimic what they do. And that's the easiest way generally just to rank up. Okay, so yeah, I definitely see you hitting Crim. You've got the ability, and you can control the sticks well enough to be able to get Crimson, or yeah, definitely. It's just that little bit of knowledge and the mind side of things that I think we're lacking a little bit, which hopefully after a few videos you're going to be able to improve upon quite easily. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the gameplay, and I will see you guys in the next one. Ciao for now.